every superhero needs a theme song. What they say? I swear, I feel like a wrestler when that thing come on, Derrick.
Yeah, I'm bouncing.
You get in. I get into that mood, man. So you know what it is, man. It's my favorite day of the week. It is Pod Day. Welcome to More Than a Title, episode 261. I'm your host, as usual, Jared, Chief Revenue Officer at Outside the Box Digital. And we got a great episode lined up for y'all, man. I've been excited for this episode. We're going to have fun. We're going to chop it up. Before we begin, you know how we like to start, y'all. Grateful and thankful. First of all, shout out to everybody in New York. Traveling has been fucking treacherous this week. 20 inches of snow. The plows have been crazy. Cars are stuck. I see cars snow up to the damn windshields. It's bad out here, y'all. So if you're getting around, take public transportation. Be safe. Hope everybody's good. Also, shout out to everybody watching abroad or everywhere you are. We are watching over 30 countries worldwide. 30 countries worldwide. Yeah. So the analytics is in. I love you guys. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, chatting, and just getting this information and getting this game and doing what I love to do. So I'm grateful for waking up. I'm grateful for the community. Grateful for y'all, man. And with that being said, let's get into it, man. I want to talk to you about the quote for the folks. You know how we like to start it now. We're starting something new, and I want to give y'all something, man, because this brother is an expert in this. So I'm going to give y'all a quote that goes and aligns with this. Negotiation is not about winning or losing. It's about creating value where others see limits. So if you guys don't understand that, negotiation is not about winning or losing. It's about creating value where others see limits. So it's not about overpowering the other side. It's about seeing possibilities beyond the obvious and just aligning with everyone. So when you focus on creating value, solving instead of selling, instead of just claiming it, you turn conversation into opportunities and limits into leverage, y'all. So that's what this conversation is going to be about. It's going to be method. I'll have fun, man. So without further ado, let me give this brother the proper introduction that he deserves, y'all.
Let's start the show.
Let's get into it, man. First of all, I want to shout out my brother, Sean Atkinson. So big Sean, shout out to you, brother. Love you, brother. Hope you on the check-in. As soon as we finished that episode 2-3 weeks ago, y'all, if y'all seen it, it was a great episode. The clips are going crazy across social media. Sean was spending so much game. And right after the show, me and my brother chopped it up for at least about an hour. Just talked about life on top of the podcast. And one person he kept bringing up was this brother right here. And he was like, man, I'm going to make the introduction. As soon as we hung up, made the introduction. And it felt like as soon as I got Derrick's email, it was just like, hey, we're here. We're connected. It is what it is. Set a date. He is here. He's ready to give y'all game. And I'm ready to get into it, y'all. So welcome to More Than a Title. It's where we go beyond the name of the business cards and we get into the real journey behind success. This brother and our guest today truly understands power, leverage, and how to show up prepared at any room you walk into. A nationally recognized author, negotiation consultant, certified mediation expert, and creator of the CNSUF negotiation framework. With over 25 years of experience across sales, leadership, real estate, and high-stakes negotiations, he's helped people in the organization navigate moments where the outcomes truly matter. He's a Phi Beta Kappa scholar, Harvard-trained mediator, executive vice president of Harrison-Chevalier, and a dynamic speaker who's led negotiation trainings around the world. So you guys have seen him in the boardrooms. You guys have seen him on the podcast. You've definitely seen him on the Amazon shelves. His books are flying. You've seen him on the shelves. So he's here on your favorite podcast for the first time. Let's introduce our brother, Mr. Derrick Chevalier, y'all. Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, who is that brother, man? I am so grateful to be with you, man. Thank you so much. And a shout out absolutely to Sean, one of my favorite people in the world. And so great to be with you. We're here. And I'm excited to share and tell the truth and probably, say some things I shouldn't. But that means it's all right.
Method. That means it's all right, man. So let's take it from the beginning. Usually how we like to start, because I like to get into the mindset of our guests, right? Really understand the journey, the trajectory, and really how we get to where we are today. So take us to the beginning, brother. Tell us about early growing up, some early influences, and we'll get into the business.
Well, that's fantastic. So my upbringing is I am the son of I have 3 siblings. It was a single mom who a lot of my insight, a lot of my belief, and a lot of my energy came from her, because I know I can't do what she did. My mom worked 2 jobs, came home, and somehow made it seem as though she was always there. And she provided some structure, and she provided the ability to dream. And she also provided some discipline and some limits that today people question, but I don't question. So I grew up in Berkeley, born in Berkeley, and then raised in South Central LA, then East LA. And then we moved out to the East Valley out in Monrovia. And so I went to high school out in Monrovia area, right? So my journey, I did play sports in high school. And that was a big impact on me. But then
you was the balling, which was football, basketball.
Football. I played football. Right. I was a center and a left linebacker, and I was all state. I'm just saying.
I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that out there.
So now, when the time came, I'm from a very different era, because at the end of my football career, my senior year, I had an opportunity to go to USC and study. I had another football scholarship to North Carolina, but I chose to join the Marine Corps because there was a war going on at the time. And at that time, I felt like I owed my country service, and I still feel like that. I've never regretted my service to the country. So in my generation, that made sense for me. But I can tell you that as a 17-year-old going into the Marine Corps, within 8 months, I was in Vietnam. So that shaped a lot of my early life, a lot of, now by the grace of God too, because I went in at 17, I was able to get a 2-year enlistment, which was very unusual for the Marine Corps. Generally, you have to go 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4, okay.
But yeah, so I jumped in there, and I wanted to go for 8 years right off the bat. My mom started crying in the recruiter. She's like, "Oh, my baby." So he goes, "Well, he go for 6 years." "Oh, he's my baby."
6 years a little extensive.
I'm like, let me get in. Next thing you know, he goes, "Well, we got a 3-year." And my mom, "Oh my God, he's my only son." She said, "Well, ma'am, all we can do is," now at the time, nobody wanted to go in the Marine Corps for obvious reasons.
Absolutely.
So they were drafting people into the Army. So he said, "Look, I can take a billet from a draft and I'll give him a 2-year billet." And I'm like, "Well, wait a second. I'm only going to be in 2 years." And he took me aside and I said, "Well, first of all, I won't get to go to Vietnam. This is youth peaking, right? I won't get to go to Vietnam." And he took me aside and he said, "Well, Derrick, let me tell you the truth. Vietnam is the only place you're going to get to go, number one. And he said, number two, let's appease your mom. So you can go in and sign up for 2 years. You'll be 18 in 6 months. And then you can, sign up for the rest of your life."
Yeah.
Now that changed my entire life, right? Because I went in at 17. I came back home at 19. And I can tell you briefly what happened in those 2 years. When I came home from Southeast Asia, I walked down the street of my house, Hurstview Avenue in Monrovia, and I knocked on the door of my home. Now, at the time, I have on my uniform, but my shirt was open, because I'm trying to look cool. So I knocked on the door of my home. My mom opened the door and said, "May I help you?" So if that tells you, she didn't reckon I left 18-inch neck and a huge football player, a boy. I came home about 165 pounds and, not and looking pretty frail. She didn't even reckon. Now, it took her only a minute to figure out there's somebody standing at her door. And I looked down at my name tag, and then she goes, "Oh my God, she's," and I was home. But that's how I knew I had changed so much. So that was my early year. I was 19 years by then.
That is a crazy story. And I got to ask you, so that's a big transformation. what's one of the crazy? What is one of the memories that, if you don't mind sharing, that happened out there that really impacted your life? I'm just curious, man.
Much of what happened ended up impacting my life decades later. So one of the principles that I came up with and that I learned while I was in Vietnam is that in any new situation that we're in, whether we're meeting somebody or whether we're considering a venture, I advise people to treat it like a minefield. Now think about it.
Okay.
Right. I remembered being one particular day, and it was a beautiful day. I mean, all this green, lush green, and it was a rice paddy, and there were some people working in the rice paddy, and there was some water buffalo, and we were supposed to walk across this field. Now, plenty of people just walking across the field. Why? Because it's a beautiful day and it's just a rice paddy, and there's some people working in the rice paddy.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a rice paddy, I can walk from one side to the other and go about my business. But if it's a minefield, I might not make it to the other side with my foot, my arm, my leg.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do? Am I going to look at what I see in front of me, the beautiful day, the water buffalo, the people working, it all looks normal? Or am I going to hedge my bet and cross that rice paddy as if it could be a minefield? That means I'm going to take careful steps. That means I'm willing to lose a toe instead of a foot, a leg, or half my body. So if I consider the risk that I don't understand, that's going to slow me down, and that's going to cause me to focus on where I am and what my mission is so that I limit my risk and get to the other side.
Message.
Fundamental lesson both in life and certainly of negotiation.
That is real, man. Damn, I wasn't expecting it. But that is so, when you think about it, but and especially in entrepreneurship, right? That is the complete opposite, though, right? We're told to go, work, do, be
right.
soft, and you're saying actually slow down, know where you are in the moment. Like, what advice could you give to entrepreneurs right now? Anybody listening is like, all right, how do I implement that?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take it, and I take a lot of things from a lot of the gurus. Now, one of the greatest gurus in sales was Zig Ziglar. And one of the things Zig used to say is, do not mistake activity for accomplishment. Now, that wasn't Zig Ziglar. That was actually the coach from UCLA who used to say, do not mistake activity for accomplishment. So you have a lot of young entrepreneurs that are excited and they're doing a lot of things. But when you look at the actual return on the investment of that energy and time, a lot of times they find that they have just been going so hard without a specific set of parameters or goals to guide them. And then they find out that a lot of that time, energy, and resources may have been, ill spent, may have not. Right? So we want to move, and here we say, John Wooden again said, move quick, but not in a hurry. Move quick, but not in a hurry. Right? So
I get this message. Move quick, but not in a hurry.
Move quick, but not in a hurry. Because and I had the privilege years later of meeting John on a number of occasions, and he actually coached my son because his son-in-law ran a basketball camp. And I got to take my son and listen to him myself, tell these stories near the end of his life, but be amazed by that, move quick, but not in a hurry, which means that the same thing was, is it a minefield or is it a rice paddy? We don't know. So when you're assessing risk in negotiation, most people, especially young entrepreneurs who are untrained, are driven by two things. One, their assumptions about what's going on, and the other is their presumptions, right? So if I look at an opportunity and I say, I believe this is the greatest opportunity that's ever going to be presented to me, I assume that's true. So an assumption breaks down to one word: belief. When I assume something, I believe it to be true.
Uh-huh.
I'm okay then. I can assume whatever I want. I can believe whatever I want. Now, when the rubber meets the road now is I look at that opportunity and I say to myself, well, because I believe this is the greatest opportunity in the world, I'm going to take an action because I presume that my belief is correct.
Mm.
Now, let's give an example of that. I look at a stock in the stock market and I say, I believe that Tesla's going up. Now, just today, I woke up and I said, now they got to report earnings at the end of the day. And I believe that the stock is actually going up. So I bought the stock. Stock went down $9.
It always does. Damn you.
Now, yeah, now here's the thing. I believe it's going up. That didn't cost me any money. But when I presume, that is, I took an action and put money and bought that stock, now I presume it's going up. What's the difference? The skin in the game.
Message.
Ooh. Mama used to tell me, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Exactly. Exactly. So we have to make sure that we separate our beliefs from our actions. Now, did I actually lose any money today? No. You know why? Because I didn't sell the stock. It's just some numbers on a paper.
That's it.
Okay. Now I don't know what ultimately happened,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you this. Whatever happened, I know Tesla's not going anywhere in the next 3 or 4 months. So I have really no risk at all, but it's the difference between I believe something's true, and then based upon that and nothing else, I take an action. Well, once I take that action, there are consequences. And it's consequences that determine the success or failure of our lives and our business, right?
That's real. Damn. That's a somber
Message.
one. That's a somber one. You got a lot of games. So I kind of want to backtrack that. I want to slow down the speed.
All right.
Quick but not fast. So all right. So you come home, you see mom, right? You got these new lessons. You got a new lease on life. Your whole outlook on life is different.
Right.
What are your thoughts when you come back home? What are the dreams? What are the goals? What are the aspirations at that point?
I loved it, man. One of the things I decided was the minute I got home, within 2 weeks, I started at a community college. So when I went into the community college, I went in and they tested me. So they said, well, you have a 3rd grade IQ. So
you a 3rd grade IQ.
Yeah. So they tell me, well, you got to start out in the dumbbell classes. And I said, well, okay, I'll start out in the dumbbell class. I don't care what class. I'm going to school, get education. So I went to the community college and they put me in a dumbbell English class. And I met an English teacher there who kept saying, she knew a little bit about my background. And she said, you know what? When I look at the way you write, I don't see how they came up with these tests. So something's not jiving here. Okay. And then I listen to the way you talk and something's not driving. So what happened was she said, listen, come to my office after school today. And I sat down, we're having a conversation just like you are. And she started asking me a lot of questions. I answered the questions. Now, she didn't tell me till 25 years later what she did, but that day she gave me a verbal IQ test. Now, that test came out differently. And within a year of that day, I ended up at USC with a full ride academic scholarship in an honors program. So clearly I had.
Hey, I got to slow that down. That was what?
Yeah. Because once I realized that I was not limited by a test score or by what somebody else thought that I could achieve or that I could do, then it was just a matter of, for myself, creating habits and being willing to do whatever it took in order to make up that ground. And I loved learning. So that's one of the greatest skills you have. You don't need a degree. People don't necessarily need a degree. Given my background, it was important for me. I wanted that. We don't need a degree, but we need an education. There are lots of people with degrees that learn nothing.
Message.
They got a piece of paper, but they don't know how to take what they learn and put it into any actionable strategy.
No execution.
Right?
Yeah.
So on the other hand, there is something to be said by learning a skill, right? And even as you're doing, especially you talk about salesmanship. Now, some people can learn and be very successful through experience only.
Myself, yeah.
And in fact, in polls that we've done, it shows that the vast majority of people believe that they can learn to become competent as negotiators by experience only, or through the mentorship of somebody else. In other words, watching somebody else do it.
Yeah.
So
But
my
it's
take on that,
though, right? It's how you learn. How you
that's
learn,
right.
how you take the information.
Yes. Now there's two things about that.
Okay.
Experience is a good teacher, but a fool will learn by no other. This was Benjamin Franklin. Experience is a good teacher, but a fool will learn by no other.
You gotta listen to him. You can learn something.
You gotta listen to this guy.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If I learn by experience, and let's say the person that I go in and I just learn by doing something, and then I watch how other people who are successful do it, it doesn't mean that I won't be successful. What it means is my success will be limited by the limitations of people that I was watching who I didn't even know they had, who didn't know they had limitations themselves.
Woo!
Message.
That's a bar. Because we say, and I want to pause you because we always say there's a message in the movement. I'm somebody who watches and learns, right? So if I want to be successful in any field, any vertical, I'm going to watch the top. How do they move? What do they say in interviews? What do they deem as important? What do they focus their time on? All that stuff. And then I'm going to implement and put my own sauce and my own thing, create my own gumbo.
Exactly. But there is something to be said about rudiments. In other words, if you're a carpenter, you can build and you have carpenting skills, you can learn by doing it, because in an instance like this, the tape measure is the same no matter what color, size, or shape you are, right? They're the tools, the hammer, the nails, and all that, and the geometry and all the skills themselves are the same. So you can build the house, right? But there's plenty of people. There are people that learn to build a house, and then there are people that have learned to build multinational corporations, millions of homes.
Yeah.
Right. So, right. Yeah. So to move from one space where I know how to build a house versus I know how to build the infrastructure for a multinational corporation, I might want to pick up a few more skills. Right. And as you said, it's not about ultimately learning because we have to we have to learn from somebody else. It is that some parts of the thing of selling are skill based and some are interpersonal, right? One of the biggest differences in sales today and going in the future than in the past is, in the past, we're trained to sell products and services. So I'm going to say today that in the 21st century, if that's where your focus is, you're in trouble.
Absolutely.
Because the most astute, or what we call snuff negotiator, understands we negotiate people, not products or services.
Message.
There it goes. Negotiate people. So first of all, how did you get into sales? I'm curious now. How did you get into sales from USC? How do we fast track? How did you get into sales?
While I was while at SC, like you, while at SC, I wanted to do something where I had some freedom and where I didn't have limitations on what I could make. So I sold women's shoes in downtown LA at the department store. I sold clothes. I sold stuff I can't talk about. I did all kinds of things. I understood the streets. I understood how to conduct business, but I worked very, very hard. And each of these environments that I went into, I learned something about the process of sales. Not that I know then what I know today, but I did learn a lot, but I did not have a lot of skill. Now, I'm going to share a story with you. Fast forward a few years. I'm working at the one of the first superstores in California that was called the Federated Group. And right on the corner of La Brea and Sunset, right in front of A&M Studios, they built the first world-class super duper audio and video superstore. And I was working in there selling high-end audio and video equipment. All right. Now, because the studio was right in back of us and we're in Hollywood, everybody, Earth, Wind, and Fire, you name them, they were coming through. The Temptation, anybody, they're coming through there because they're like, whoa, they're looking at digital equipment. This was the first time digital equipment was available. And where we are now, you got a studio in your bedroom, right? Yep. That was impossible prior to that time. So what would happen? All people kind of come in, and a celebrity would come in and kind of choose somebody that they wanted to work with, right? And they would work with that person until that person left. So one of the people that came in all the time was Stevie Wonder, right? So Stevie come in, and his salesperson was somebody that we got along very well. So when he said, "Well, look, Derrick, I've gotten transferred to another store," he goes, "I'm giving you Stevie." I said, "Oh yeah, yeah."
Shit.
And so he called me over, and Stevie came in. And Stevie introduced himself, and I said, "Yeah, my name is Derrick." And I held out my hand. I put my hand in Stevie's, and I just shook his hand. And then I pulled my hand, but he pulled my hand, and I could feel he was like feeling my hand. Yeah. He's like checking me. So then we went in the sound room. Now, what do I know about the speakers in that sound room? Here's what I know. I know what I think sounds good. But I had no background in sound. I didn't know why a speaker worked one way or another way, or why it was better one speaker than I didn't know any of that. But I did know this, that every speaker in the room had a code on it that told me how much money I was going to get paid if I sold it.
Oh, yeah, that's all I need.
So I went in the room with Stevie. Stevie, put in put in a DAT tape. And he started playing, and it's me and Stevie in this room of 50 speakers. And he goes, "I need some reference speakers." I said, "I know what that is, so let's listen." So we listened to 4 or 5 speakers, and he said, "Derrick, that's the right speaker." Now I happen to go over and I look at the speaker. There's not much money in that speaker. And I said, "Mr. Wonder, I don't think this is the right speaker for you." And he said, "Well, why not?" So I'm looking at the speaker. I take the cover off. I'm looking all over the speaker trying to make something up because I don't know why. That's not. So what I said to him was, I said, "Oh my God, there's a hole in the back of this speaker, Mr. Wonder." He said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Well, what speaker do you think I should buy?" So we listened to a few more speakers, and he said, "You know what? You were right. This is a much better speaker up here." I said, "Beautiful." He said, "Let me have 2 pair." I said, "Oh, yes. Now I'm happy." So while we're walking out of the room, he said, "You know what, Derrick? Let me take a look at the speaker that I'm buying." And he went over and he felt and looked at the speaker. He's feeling the speaker, and he said, "Derrick," he said, "this speaker has a hole in it." I said, "Well, Mr. Wonder, the hole is in a different place."
And that changes everything.
Message.
Yeah. And Stevie said, "You know what, Derrick?" He said, "I'm gonna wait on buying those speakers. I'll buy them a different day." And he walked out. I was so disappointed. Now, about 2 weeks later, Stevie came back in. He talked to the manager. He told the manager, "I'll talk to anybody but Derrick."
Wow.
And you know why? Because he realized that I was trying to BS him. I'm talking to one of the most iconic artists on earth, and I'm trying to BS him about the sound quality of a speaker so I can make some money. And he knew that. I didn't know what I was talking about, right? Now, that broke my heart. It killed me. Every time I saw him walk in there and spend a bunch of money, I thought, yeah, that's me. I spent a bunch of money. I thought, yep. Now, the other thing that it did, though, is I said, I will never, ever sell something, do something where I don't know what I'm doing. So I actually learned to build speakers, categorize the numbers of the speaker, why it's good. I can build a speaker. Now, I got pretty good at selling speakers. Now, here's the point. 20 years later, I'm on an airplane going back east in first class, and Stevie Wonder is 2 seats away from me with his wife and several of his kids and a bodyguard on the plane. And the whole way across the country, I'm saying, oh my God, I have to tell Stevie. I have to say something. I got to tell him something. So it was his birthday. And the flight attendant said, well, we're going to sing happy birthday to Stevie Wonder. And the whole plane's like, happy birthday to you. Stevie's smiling. He's, So the next thing I went over and I said, Mr. Wonder, and the bodyguard got up. And I said, no, I just wanted to thank you. And Stevie said, well, what do you want to thank me? I said, you will never remember this, but about 20 years ago, you came in to buy some speakers. And I didn't. He goes, oh, yeah, Derrick.
Yo, Derrick, I fucking know. Get away from me.
So I said, Mr. Wonder, I wanted to thank you. He said, what are you thanking me for? I said, I wouldn't be on this plane if you hadn't done that. I said, the day you didn't buy those speakers, I promised I would never do anything that I was not excellent, when I did not know what I was doing, when I didn't have the skill and capability to deliver. And he swayed and sang and smiled. And let me look at this because this mic is giving me a little trouble. And he smiled. And I said, so when that happened, I became excellent. And he said, yeah. And I said, besides which, my birthday is tomorrow. Your birthday is today. So, we have that in common. He goes, your birthday is tomorrow. He asked the flight attendant, he said, let me have the mic. He's like, happy birthday, Derrick. The whole plane singing. I'm saying, amen, amen. So
man, what a
excellence is the first order of success, right?
Excellence, the first order of success. But that's something I think every salesperson deals with, right? At one point or another, right? So one thing that I want to ask you is, how do you develop? Like for me, I found that the relationships were the key to success. And I found that early. I had a mentor early. I cold called my mentor and he told me, he's like, hey, if you'd have said this, you'd have said that. I got time today, so I'm going to school you. And most people would have been like, fuck, I didn't get the sale. You know what I did? I went to Salesforce and took his number down.
Right.
Said, look, anywhere I go, I'm going to call you. Just to check in. And he became my mentor. He passed away suddenly, and that's my brother.
And changed your life.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
What do you value? The relationship or the sale, especially when you have a quota? So That's the balance. How do you balance that?
Okay. Two things. That goes right back to negotiate people, not products or services. Because many salespeople have few tools in their bag of tricks, and they use those same tools. You take a salesperson who will close a sale, they'll then go and talk to the next 10 people and use the same closing strategy they did when they were on the last successful sale. Now, why is that not going to work out very good? Because the next 10 people are not the person you closed.
Yeah, it's not cookie cutter. Yeah.
Right. So we negotiate. We first have to do a better job of understanding the psychology and the physiology of the person that we're selling. Is the person we're talking about someone who is more interested or susceptible to my ability to eliminate their pain points? which a lot of salespeople talking about today. Pain point, pain point, pain point. Well, everybody out there selling pain point is missing 50% of the conversation. There are a lot of people that are so much in pain, they don't want to hear about the pain point. What they want to hear about is what benefits can you offer me so I don't feel this pain anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But even more so than pain point, I think relationship gets the pain point. The problem with a lot of salespeople is they don't get the pain point because they don't have the relationship. So now if I'm a seller, I'm a buyer, right? And I'm coming to you and you're not prepared. You don't know what my business does. You don't know what I am in my role. You don't know what do I execute. You don't know how your product can solve my issue. You don't know any of those things. You don't know who controls the budget. You're hitting me with some fluff, all that. Like I'm doing this times 15.
Right.
I'm doing it times 15. So my sales philosophy was very basic. If you're speaking to 15, I got to do something to stand out.
Right.
And it can be something as simple as a joke. It can be something as serious as a whole strategy.
Right. So we're now talking about a specific strategy. The strategy is this one. Are you familiar with the concept of a BATNA? Do you remember that best alternative for a negotiated? So one of the key things from the Harvard negotiation strategy is called a BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So that means if I can't get what I want, what is my alternative other than getting what I want? So what they teach you is that you need to go into a negotiation with an idea about what you want to come out with. Now, many salespeople do that. Now, the key thing that many people miss is that when you go into a negotiation with an idea about what you want to come out with, what you're trying to sell or where you want to land, no matter what the outcome, you just participated in a negotiation against yourself.
Message.
Okay, I had to let that land for a second.
Yeah, think about it. So my objective in any interaction, whether it's sales or is to get a better understanding of the other person's wants and needs. So I'm focused on them, not on what I'm trying to get out of. I know what I can decide what I want. What I don't know is who am I dealing with? Right. Who am I dealing with? So now the objective becomes, how do I get that person to share insights with me? Now, you just said so. I might start with a joke, which just to relieve the tension.
Yep.
And now I've completely changed the landscape and moved right from that joke, in which we're more relaxed, to maybe getting some more background about that person, the same way you did. Where'd you grow up? What influenced you?
Yeah.
You know, the best meal you just had. Had nothing to do with the actual sell or the process, because what I'm really looking for is what is the energy of that person. And the person might say, you know, I am somebody who really responds best to a demonstration rather than a discussion.
Yeah. Yep.
So I will spare you the memorized canned shtick I have that I started to tell you before you explained to me that if I demonstrated a set of benefits, you could receive that easier. Somebody might say, I'm a visual person, or I'm an auditory person, or, you know, I'd like to read what you talk. Now, the minute that I understand more about that communication preference, I can then choose a set of closing strategies and a sales strategy that's going to eliminate some work for me, be more direct, and obviously be more successful. Because I'm your needs. I'm not mine.
Not do it. But that was my whole philosophy, because I got a curveball early in my sales career. Same shit. So you go in there, you spend all night on the presentation. You got your deck built. It's concise. It looks good. Fucking had the designers touch it up. This shit looks perfect. Pull it up. You're talking to the SVP of marketing. I don't want to see this. Jared, I got 10, 15 minutes. I got a hard stop in 10 minutes.
Boom.
Tell me exactly what you can do. And now you're sitting there sweating. And next thing you know, you're looking like this. You know, you got the Jordan face. You don't know what's going on. I'm doing the Stevie Wonder and shit. I hit him with the holes in the presentation. And now I'm fucked up. I can't quota.
Yeah.
But so how I flip that though is like, I don't want to have to sell you even when I get the call because I don't even want that awkward tension. Right. So my flip was, how do I get you to know everything about me so you feel so in tune with me that you trust me from call one?
Right. Right.
Call one. Because I don't want to have to do the, hey, what's this, that? I want you to be so in tune with what I do and trust me. And at the end of the day, the buyer's journey's changed nowadays, right?
Exactly.
You're doing so much shit online. I want to see who you do. I want to know your dog's name. I want to know what you posted 10 years on X. Right. I want to know what your values are. It's people go through the lengths.
Exactly. Negotiate people, not products or services. So what you're describing is what we call competitive intelligence. Right. So competitive intelligence, that means I'm going to get on the internet. I'm going to look up this person. I'm going to look on their social media. I'm going to look in the news. I'm going to look for as much information or insight where I have a genuine connection with that person. I don't have to make it up. If I find a genuine connection with that person, so that if we have something in common, that we can start with that, because that does the work for us. I don't have to sing and dance because we already have a relationship, you know, because you maybe have an interest in something I have an interest in. And so we already shared that. Where did you do it? When did you do it? When's the last time you do it? What's your particular? And so we can talk about that. And along the way, we're creating a level of trust that you're never going to get while you're talking about your sales presentation. You're trying to figure out what slide to look at when the person doesn't want to see the slide at all.
There is no, but people are people. And that's what they just be a person, right? Understand and put yourself in the buyer's shoes. That's the best sales advice that I've got. Put yourself in the buyer's shoes, right? If I'm doing 15 calls like these, I've got a hungry salesperson. I can smell the commission breath. Same thing like Stevie. And nobody wants to solve my problem, but my fucking job and livelihood depends on this decision.
Exactly.
So if it depends on that decision, then treat it with the utmost respect and give me the time and the courtesy to actually know what the hell I do and what can help me. Ask me, and they'll know just by the questions you ask.
Exactly. So one of the key things that I would suggest to your audience, anybody in sales, is to be aware of how many times you are asking yes or no questions in your presentation.
Okay.
Now, one of the problems with yes or no questions is that they give the other person the power to shut you down. You say, are you interested? No. Are you ready to? No. So when might you be ready to move forward is a different question. Right? Right. And the other thing are using principles from sales. Like I might ask somebody a question. I might say, well, my God, you know, when were you born? When were you born?
I was you asking me 88.
Okay. Now, guess what? Did you tell me what day?
No.
Did you tell me what month?
Absolutely not.
Now watch this. This is the principle from what we call neuro linguistic programming. When you ask a person a question like where'd you grow up or when were you born? The first thing you watch them do, they're going to look up, they're going to look down, they're going to look to the right and to the left. And depending on where they look, they're accessing a specific part of their brain and deciding how much information to give you.
Message.
Right? So if you turn around and tell me 88, well, now I know that anytime I ask you a question and you're limiting the information that you give me, you're going to do the exact same thing you did when you decided to tell me 88, leave out the day, leave out the month.
It's like I've never heard it broke down that way, but you know it subconsciously, and you're like, Shit, just tell the audience which way. Motherfucker be looking left, right? Which way?
Yeah.
Which way they look, Derrick? Let us know, man. I got
just the eyes, just neuro-linguistic program. You look up, and if a person's looking up, because they know what day and time and month and they were born, but they didn't tell you. So it might not be that question. I mean, I ask any question. And what I'm really looking for is what is the reaction in terms of how they limit the information they give me. Because as long as they're limiting and that information, right, then I'm not ready to move forward. So my objective at that point is to find an interest where the person is open up, where they're beginning to share, where they're fluid in the exchange. That's my cue that we've established some kind of rapport.
Absolutely. And where it comes up in sales conversations for those listening, it's pain point and budget.
Yeah. Well, the budget may be the pain point, but but here's the point. If a person is focused on the budget, right, and the budget is a pain point for them, then we're not talking about the products or the services. What we're talking about are the benefits of our product and service that are going to exceed any pain in our budget, and therefore create a return on investment that exceeds that pain point. That's our objective. We focus on the balance between benefits over the cost of something or the liability of it, the pain of it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, Derrick, when Netflix call, I'm calling you. I just need some motherfucking support.
Well, and I'm happy to do it. I'll ride with you anytime. I mean, ultimately, depending on what area we're in every sector, depending on the music or whatever it is we're selling or buying, what sector we're working in, there are some parameters in that and protocol that we want to be aware of, right? So that we understand where to sit, how to sit, what those expectations are. And that just paves the way so that we can have that conversation. But the first part of that conversation is an assessment, whereas I am making an assessment of what closing strategies or what selling strategies are going to be of most effective in a particular situation with a particular person. And then if I only have that bag of tricks, then what's going to happen is I'll go out and use that same bag of tricks over and over and over again. Now, I may be successful. Yeah, a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
But ultimately, our objective is to increase our closing ratio on an ongoing basis. So if now I'm talking to 10 people to make a sale, my objective is to get that down to 5 or 6 people and make that sale. Now I've increased my income. That means that I have to do a better job of selecting tools that are going to close that particular client. And one of the most effective tools that we can use is to really increase our knowledge in the area of closing skills. The actual science of closing skills, one of which I just mentioned, the idea of understanding when a person is behavior and body language is telling you they're not ready, they're shut down, right? And we just keep going because we're on a script, as opposed to being aware of the fact that today is not that day.
Yeah. Do you think that's one of the biggest? What do you think is the biggest challenge or the biggest thing that all salespeople fail to do? Like, what's one thing that if a salesperson listen, I got a lot of people from tech, B2B, all that stuff. Like, what can they do to implement to help increase that close ratio, right? Because if you're dealing with 10 people, right, you got to get to that one buyer, but you need 5 people, right? Who's going to be my champion? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? When do I make the ask?
Right. So I'll give you a strategy that is right out of the CNSUF negotiation framework, and that is ask Iowa questions.
Ask
Iowa question. Now, in this instance, I'm pronouncing it like the state of Iowa. But what I'm really saying is ask H questions. So it's phonetic. Ask Iowa questions. Now, what does that mean? Okay. That means ask if, what, where, when, who, and how.
Yeah, that's like traditional band, kind of close.
Right. So now if people implement just this strategy, their closing ratio will go up. You know why? Because if they replace an Iowa question with a yes or no question, you're opening the floodgates. It's like having an expressway, because every Iowa question, what are your plans for this product or service? When do you need to achieve the goal? What is the most pressure on you that I could eliminate, and how can I be of service to do that?
Absolutely. But isn't also with the question is when do you ask what question, the framing of it, understanding
Yes.
and reading the room, right? That's just as important as the question.
Absolutely. So that is the interpersonal part of how the question is delivered. So then what we're talking about is the voice, the tone, the speed at which I ask that question, the height of my voice, whether it's a high pitch, medium, or low pitch. So all of that and also the way that I look at you. If I'm looking at you and I ask a question in a way and I say, listen, really, what is the biggest obstacle between you and I getting this deal done today?
And
Right?
anything. Maybe I just don't like it, Derrick. I don't know this.
Yeah.
It could be so many bullshit.
Exactly.
And then that's when people avoid the salesperson. What obstacle?
Yeah. Now, one of the things you might turn around at this point, and the prospect turn around and tell you, well, the biggest obstacle is that after I speak to you, I need to speak to my boss or my department chair. So now you realize your objective in that meeting should never have been to sell that person. You should have known when you walked in there that they're not the decision maker. And had you done the competitive intelligence and asked the Iowa questions, when you go in to talk to somebody that is not the decision maker, if you don't know, your objective becomes finding out who the decision maker is. If you know that you're talking to somebody who's not the decision maker, then your objective, you only have one, is not to sell your product and services. Because if you can sell the products or services to them, and then you're going to leave them to go and close their boss, then they should have your job. Your is one objective, and that is get through to the gate. They're a gatekeeper. So my only objective is getting past the objective of the gatekeeper to the decision maker. And that's how I know I was successful. But anything that ends with, that's great, Derrick, I really appreciate it. Yes, I understand. And I'll share that with my senior VP, and we'll get back to you next week. That means no. That means it is never going to happen.
It's figuring out what makes the champion excited to go tell their boss, and what's going to make them look good that they solved the problem.
Thank you. So what we want them to do is to go in and sell and sell Jarrett. So you need to speak to him. And because when somebody is saying to me, listen, I'll share that with my boss, that's my cue to explain, to say, hey, you know what? I have 50 years experience, and I am passionate to share and be able to answer questions. What do we need to do so that I would be on the call when you share that with your senior VP? Now, if the person turns around and says to you, well, my senior VP doesn't allow that, what does that tell you? You didn't do your job. You did not do your job, because they're still as a gatekeeper. And a lot of people get their significance from shutting you down, not from letting you in.
That's a fact.
Message.
Yep. So if my objective was to go in and create rapport with you and to make you feel like a winner for selling me to your senior VP, now I'm the person that you go in there and sell. You're not going in there to sell on my behalf. have because I'm doing that. You're going in there to make an introduction. And by making that introduction, already the senior VP knows only people get through the door that have something, that were successful enough to get past the gatekeeper.
Absolutely. What you want to hear at the end of that call, I'm going to speak to my SVP, Aaron. As a matter of fact, when are you free next week? Because I'm looking at his calendar right now.
Right.
And that's when you know. But at the end of the day, a lot of salespeople overestimate the value they provided.
Exactly.
And we overestimate that shit. We want to go tell our boss, it was a great year, Johnny. It was a great Johnny.
Yep. Now, you just used the key word I'll share, and that is an estimate. Right. Now, let me ask you a question. What is an estimate?
Estimate is
something just based on from your perspective. What is an estimate?
An estimate is just like a hypothesis. What is like a educated guess of what I think something's going to be. I estimate this is going to happen. I estimate that. Like an educated guess.
So it is an approximation, correct?
Yeah.
It's an approximation. So what does that tell us about estimates? Ultimately, because it's an approximation, all estimates are wrong.
Message.
All day long, I've asked thousands of people, have you ever seen an accurate estimate? And they go, oh, yeah. Well, how can an estimate be accurate if it's an approximation? An accurate estimate is a fact. The only reason you're saying something is an estimate because you don't know what the fact is. You're making an approximation, but all estimates are wrong. So that's the first key. And as a result, I got a couple of Iowa questions. How wrong is it? Because if my estimate is only a little bit wrong, that may not be a problem. But if my estimate is a way off, then I need to change my strategy. And so by understanding the function of specific words, there's no such thing as every estimate anybody's ever seen is wrong. If not, it was not an estimate.
Yeah, that's
right.
Damn. I might have broke down like that, but you did when you're right, you're right.
So one of the things is actually understanding how a particular word functions for us. We'll say, well, this is an estimate. Now, given all that, that means that if plumber, you and I want to hire a plumber, and I get 3 estimates. One plumber comes in and says it's $450. The next plumber comes in and says it's $550. And they give me an estimate. It says estimate, and it says change the pipes, $550. The other one gave me an estimate that said change the pipes, $450. Now, the third person comes in and says, well, my estimate is $795, but they hand me an estimate that's all detailed out that says, I'm going to change this widget with this wrench, with that wrench, with this rigid on this day. I got 3 tons. I got 17 screws. I got 6 screwdrivers and 4 guys that will be here, and we got a money back guarantee. Who are you going with?
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking.
No, he's good. He's fucking good.
Yeah. See, because my estimate is telling you that the guy at 475, when he gets in there, you're gonna end up spending $1,000.
Easily.
Because he goes, well, I didn't know that you also wanted me to blah 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 blah, and that costs a little extra, and that costs a little extra, and by the time I'm done with the extra, I spent $1,000. The job's not been right, and you're not giving me any kind of warranty except that I overpaid. That's my warranty.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
This should have turned into a sales master class. We didn't even fucking go to. Derrick. This is how it becomes a 1 hour and a half, 2 hour, because we end up talking like this, and then we start getting to the shits. And
yeah.
But I do want to. Actually, I know we're unlimited on time, bro. But I do want to know for the audience, you can share some game with us, man. What was the biggest obstacle you faced in your career? Because you went to Vietnam, you served for the country, you came back, they told you couldn't learn a certain way. You overcame so many different things. What was the toughest obstacle for you? What you overcame, and what's something that you want to share with the audience?
Fear and self-doubt, false evidence appearing real. allowing myself to believe that because other people don't agree with me or don't see a possibility, that something is impossible, right? So I think often that in our lives, when we meet obstacles, the quality of our life will have a direct correlation to what we do when that obstacle appears. If we're broken down, if we're discouraged, if we start thinking about all the previous failures we have and all the reasons why we're never going to achieve a particular thing, we will be right, because we're not going to do any of the things that we need to do to meet that challenge, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the biggest in my own life, the biggest, sometimes I am my own worst enemy, right? Because I allow fear of what might happen, or fear of what it might cost me to take a risk, stop me from doing something that is very important for me. And every time I've done that, I've found that it was an incorrect decision. I mean, I've failed to achieve a goal. That's okay. I mean, not that it doesn't hurt and not that it's not costly, but I would rather fight to achieve something and fail than desire to achieve something and not have the courage to do it because I might fail.
Ooh, but Derry, you got to break that down. Just if you could go a little further for us, because like there's going to be somebody listening, especially from our community. Is like, yo, look, I get what you're saying, man, but man, my lady just left. This just happened. I just lost somebody in my family. Whatever happened? Like, how the hell do I keep going? How do I get over this fear? How do I get over all of these things that we deal with as a community to get to the goal?
Well, I'm experiencing that right now. I'll share it with you. Number one, 5 months ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I have been struggling with that and going through the chemo and all of that. Now, when the cancer hit, anybody that's had cancer, you know, the first thought is, oh, how is it going to impact me and what is going to happen and blah, 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 blah. As opposed to my approach was, first of all, I went to the doctor. I had a blood test. He said, well, your blood platelets don't look right and blah, blah, blah. You need to get a blood test. Well, I got the blood test. And then my focus was on, you know what? I need to go play tennis. Now, I left the hospital and he called. I didn't take the call because I didn't really want to know what he had to say. I went and played tennis the next day and almost passed out. So when I then almost passed out, I listened to his message. He said, if you're driving home from the hospital, go back. You need a blood transfusion. So I immediately went to the hospital. Okay. And that's one thing. And then what I decided is, well, let me decide how I'll deal with this, how I'm going to attack this. Right. And with the support of my family and loved ones, it was pretty easy to decide. I'm just going to do what they tell me. I'm going to fight. I'm going to keep playing tennis. I'm going to keep believing that and I'm doing very, very well. So that's that. By comparison, that's one thing. But let me tell you what happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I was having dinner with my partner's family. We're all together celebrating a birthday of the older sister. And families gathered together and celebrating this birthday. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, we went out and played tennis, came home, and we were just sitting down for a second, and we got the call. And the whole world had heard about it because the call said that my partner's sister and brother-in-law were murdered. And that was Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner.
Oh, wow.
So when you talk about the tragedy that goes beyond the gruesomeness and the difficulty of that. They have children that are left behind. So one moment you're living life, and the next moment you're gone, and you've lost somebody who is fundamentally important in your life. And in this case, it happens to be people that were important to the whole world. But Rob and Michelle, for me, were family that just down home people, real people. What you saw beyond all the trappings and all of the celebrity, they were real people that care about other people, have made phenomenal sacrifices for the larger community. So in that moment, over the last month, 5 weeks or so, we have to come together to decide, number one, will ultimately we be focused on how they left the world, or will we be focused on what they did while they were here?
That's a fact.
And so and of course, all of their children have different journeys that they have to deal with that are unspeakable, unbelievable to even imagine how to deal with that. But I can report that they are extraordinary young people, and day by day, hour by hour. So to answer your question, you never know when you're going to get hit. All you know is you will get hit. The question is, in my life, one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned is people do not really know who they are until circumstances present an opportunity for them to make a decision.
Message.
See, people can say, I would do this, I would do that, I'm going to go here. And then life presents you with an opportunity. Who you are is what you do when there's a price to pay. Right? That's who you are. Not what you want to be, not what you thought you were. Who you are is what you did in the face of a circumstance where the outcome cost you something. If you're getting paid, it's pretty easy to take action. But when there's a cost, is tangible and especially intangible, where there's something deep loss. The question is, what do you do? Do you hate, or do you find reason and solution? And certainly we have to grieve, right? But the question is, who do we become in the face of whatever obstacle it is that we're facing? And for whatever it is we're facing, somebody else is facing a more difficult situation. Now, that doesn't help you get through it. You know, sometimes knowing that somebody else went through something, yeah, but when you're in pain, the only pain you really care about is the pain that you're feeling.
Yeah.
So the question becomes not looking to the left and to the right, but look into the inside and ask yourself, who is it that you choose to be? Because circumstances do not dictate outcomes.
Message.
See, if circumstances dictated outcomes, that would mean that every person born into the world with a crackhead mama on the streets and no one would end up a crackhead and in jail. And there are lots of children and men and women who have grown up on the street with nothing and no direction, who are multimillionaires, who are doctors, lawyers, who are successful entrepreneurs because they made a decision to move beyond the tragedy in their life. And I think that's what every human being, we all have to make that decision. The question is, what decision do we make?
That was a great way to end. Oh man, I don't even, man, before we give you the monologue, before we end this off, man, please, man, first of all, thank you for pulling up, Derrick. You know what I mean? This is for the listeners, this is our first time interacting. Yeah. Email was cool, but this is our first time actually, knowing each other, get to know each other.
Yeah.
Together. And this was such a great effing experience, man. I want to say thank you for taking your time out. Please let the people know where they can find you, where they can purchase the books, where they can learn about everything you do. Please let them know.
Right. Well, thank you so much. It's a great privilege because I've met a kindred spirit, and it's been a privilege to speak with you and spend time with your audience out there. And a couple of things, you can certainly me up on LinkedIn. And I want to encourage people, of course, my book is called Evolve or Be Slaughtered: Negotiation for the 25th century, for the 21st century. And I mean what it says. We either get better or we get gone. Evolve or be slaughtered. So I encourage people, a lot of the things that we've talked about, I share in that book. But the book is really a how-to book of tools and tactics that will elevate any sales or entrepreneur career. So do that. But more than anything, tune into the show next week and see who the next outstanding guest that you have is.
See that? He's good. He's good. So if you all worried, concerned, like think about what next week we got Tuesday, y'all, starting our Black History Month special. We're gonna have nothing but Black successful entrepreneurs, athletes, celebrities coming on the show, telling their real story. On the 3rd, we got Ronnie DeVoe and Robert DeVoe.
Wow.
Coming through Tuesday, man. We're going to have a special appearance from Ronnie. Robert's going to tell us his story about how he helped his brother become the person he became and who he is as a person. And then on Thursday, Joy Allen Altamir, former CMO of Saucony, coming in here to talk to us about the real game, man. I just want to say, first of all, before we monologue, welcome to the More Than Entitled family, brother. Welcome to the family.
Love it.
Welcome to the family.
My privilege, man. I'm so pleased and privileged. Thank you so much,
my brother. And what that entails, brother, because you gave your time, and this isn't payola. This was just love. Gave me time, gave our audience the time, gave us gems, was vulnerable. And what it means is anybody I've spoken to before your episode and anybody after, just like Sean did, anybody you want to speak to, it's nothing but a text, email, call away. We make it happen within 48 hours or based on their schedule, but you will be in touch with them, with the person. And we've seen 6-figure deals happen as a result. I don't take no money from it.
That's so beautiful, man. That's so beautiful. I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
It's about.
So we'll talk again, man. It's been a privilege for me. And thanks so much for your audience tuning in. I look forward to it, man. Talking to you again.
Appreciate you, brother. So y'all heard the messages. There's so many. I almost broke the fucking button. You heard it. I gave him about 10, all right? 10 to 15, new record. But you heard it, man. This brother risked his life.
Right.
At a young age, 17 years old, fought for our country proudly, came back home, had every obstacle. Mama didn't recognize him. Still said, you know what? I'm still here, mama. I'm going to make something happen. They said he had a 3rd grade IQ. Sat with a teacher and said, I don't care what they tell me. I know what I can do.
Right.
Went to USC, became successful, started his own business, is executive vice president of his own business, best-selling author. You hear the stories and who he's interacting with. He went from South Central to all these places, right, that we could have just seen and been devoured by the community, devoured by all the outside influences, but he stayed focused, y'all. Then he gave you a sales masterclass. Negotiation. We're going to get a part 2, man. But guys, it was a great episode 261. I love you guys. Make sure you check in with Derrick. We're going to keep on tapping in. My brother is nothing but love from this side, man. Have a great weekend, y'all. And we're going to be back Tuesday. What else but up?
Beautiful. Thank you. I'll see you again, man.
See you, my
me. Seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? I done it all, just one.